Hey sports fans, this football season, MDOT wants to ensure you get to your game day destination safely. So before you hit the road to watch your favorite team, be sure to download the MDOT Traffic app. The MDOT Traffic app is free for both Apple and Android devices. And remember to drive smart on the way to the game. That means buckling up, obeying the speed limit, and avoiding distracted driving, especially when traveling in work zones. For more information, follow at Mississippi DOT on Facebook and Twitter.
Coach, just looking at what you signed today, moving forward on into February, what's the main positions you want to add to after this signing day in December?
Well, I think it's fairly relative. We wanted to really make an impact on defensive line, defensive back, and offensive line. I felt like we did. There's a couple guys that are signed that we're not announcing today, respecting their wishes for various, signing day considerations they have as far as with their teammates and whatnot. I think that we filled out an awful lot of our class. We got to continue to improve and, just sort of attack the task at hand in January. I think we're off to a good start. I want to thank all our coaches. Our coaches, I thought, did a tremendous job recruiting. And then in particular in our recruiting office, behind the scenes, the guys that did a really good job are Dave Emmerich, Matt Dudek, Rob Gibson, Brittany Thackeray, and Andrea Hollis, who really put together great visits for these guys and really allowed us in our program to put our best foot forward as they made their consideration for their next stop in college to go to. And, also I thought we targeted our region pretty well. Got 12 out of Mississippi, which that was a huge consideration to get as many as we could out of Mississippi. We got 2 out of Georgia, 2 out of Texas, 1 out of Louisiana, probably maybe some more will come out of Louisiana and Alabama. Pretty balanced so far. 4 D line, 4 defense backs, 3 linebackers, 4 O line, 2 receivers. I expect a few more of those, and quarterback. So.
Coach, speaking of the quarterback, why was Braden Locke the guy for you? What makes him a good fit for your offense?
Braden had a really impressive career. First of all, he had a great career. The ball explodes off his hand. It comes off his hand really quickly. Puts it on the receiver right now. They get yards after the catch. It didn't hurt that he broke the touchdown record in the state of Texas. A lot of touchdowns been thrown in Texas, and then he worked with one of my former players who's now gives quarterback lessons. So, it helped that I became familiar with what he was able to do pretty early on.
Mike, with Percy Lewis, obviously a big guy there coming out of JUCO, is that someone you see could make an immediate impact, especially there at left tackle, right away next season?
I hope so. I mean, the JC guys, you want them to be able to contribute early. That's why you went, with the JC guy. And he's certainly got the frame for it. And then, we want to attack the weight room, get him in great shape, and just get him acclimated as quick as we can.
Coach had several players that you're battling other teams for on signing day and closed really strong. You talked a little bit about your support staff and the assistant coaches, but can you talk a little more about the job that they did to close out and get some of those players like Nicholson and Travion Williams and Percy Lewis?
Well, I think the biggest thing was persistence. I mean, in recruiting, everybody thinks a great recruiter, some car salesman kind of guy, and it's I haven't found that to be the case. I can think of some of my assistants over the years that were just tremendous recruiters, and they're just persistent guys. They were guys that anybody could relate to, that was somebody that you'd like to see in the hall every day, you'd like to talk to every day and felt like you could trust and had a level of credibility. And so I think that persistence was the biggest thing. The other thing I thought that our assistants really did a good job of is when they come on a visit here, I think we do a good job of making sure that everybody gets to know the family, like a wide variety of people. Everybody may be a little bit of a stretch, but they meet a lot of people that they're going to be involved with in their career and from a parent standpoint in their son's career. And so I think that paid huge dividends. In other words, an awful lot of people on our staff knew the parents, knew the player, knew, and I think the familiarity, and it was tough because it's such a short period of time that we were able to create in a short period of time, I think was a big element too.
Coach, with Jave Gilmore and Khalid Moore and Avery Sledge, that's three pretty athletic linebackers. Is that what you look for at that position?
You got to be able to move, got to be able to move. And then part of what we do, and everybody likes the big plugger type of guys, but if you can move, we can do so much more with it. The type of defense that Zach runs with a lot of twist, blitzes, movement, that type of thing. You definitely want that to be an aspect of it. Long arms, too.
Mike, you guys had a couple key players there flip in the last month or so. How much do you think kind of the progress the program made this year, was able to affect maybe some later decisions in the recruiting process?
Difficult to say. I think really people sell the program. I think that it was definitely a part of it. I think that, it was, we've had a lot of growth as a program this year, and I think that as they talk to our players and, get on campus, I think they feel and get a sense of that. And I do think, they're able to see that too.
Coach, I know you probably enjoyed getting back on the road a little bit. You've been from Tampa to Texas and all points in between. What was it like this year kind of being out there and having the in-home visits again? Fast and furious, you go from the last game to hit the road. There's none of this recuperation stuff. But the other thing is you've got to become more familiar with the guys you're going to sign, and you got to do it quickly, quicker now than ever. And so it was a very important part of it. And it's always interesting to meet the family and get a sense of their background. We got several coming at semester. Jacarius Clayton. Jar Norris Hobson, Percy Lewis, Braden Locke, DeCarlos Nicholson are all coming at semester.
You had mentioned last weekend just kind of how busy this period was as soon as the Egg Bowl finished. I mean, what kind of role does the transfer portal kind of play into all that, and how many players are going in this year, and how do you assess how maybe you guys will use that in the coming weeks?
Consider it as a resource. There's a randomness to the portal. Definitely a resource that can't be ignored. The ultimate success story of the portal is Mekhi Polk, who's the leading receiver in the SEC. And then, then the ultimate non-success story is the 3,000 or so that sought greener pastures last year that didn't find a new pasture. So.
Coach, you talked about the emphasis your staff put on recruiting players out of the state of Mississippi. Why is that so important to you guys?
Our biggest emphasis was recruiting Mississippi, and that's kind of specifically what we wanted to do most importantly, then satellite out from there. We won't ignore a great player no matter how far away they are, but, the ones with ties here, that grow up with the SEC and grow up with Mississippi State football. I think that's the starting point, and so it was pretty good that way. I do suspect in February the net will probably be a little broader, just as I think things will stretch out more, not just for us, but for everybody.
You shared at media days how you kind of hoped that NIL wouldn't, turn into a bidding war type situation with recruits. Now that you've kind of been through the process, how much did you see NIL play a role in just how the recruiting process turned out this cycle?
A little bit. There was some rhetoric on it, and I think it's still unfolding. I think it's still unfolding what impact it'll have.
Coach, would you like to take a quarterback in each cycle, and is that the way you generally like to try to do things, or it just depends on what you need at that moment?
Try to take one each year, yes. Yep, try to take one each year.
Coach, you mentioned doing so well in Mississippi. How do you maybe sell Mississippi State to out-of-state prospects and their families that maybe are a little bit unfamiliar with the university?
We try to get them familiar with, first of all, our schemes and how they fit in, whether it's throwing the ball on offense or, attacking on defense. And then from there, then you try to get acquainted with them the best you can. Because, there's a point to where people want to be around people they trust in a place where, they're excited to wake up and see the people that they're going to see in the hall, in the locker room, and on the field. And we try to illustrate that the best we can. And then once you get them on campus, be real truthful with them as they come in, and then put them in a position to verify and see it and gather all the facts once they're on campus.
Anything else? All right.
All right, appreciate it. Well, shoot, now we get to do it twice this year. So